good evening, and welcome back once again to IIRL. We are officially now in the second half of the season. How time flies when you're having fun. As you can see this week, a brand new week of streams, 4 for you this week. At the wonderful Spa-Francorchamps circuit in the heart of Belgium. Hope you're all well. In case you're new around here, my name is Sungor26. I'm head of streamers here at IRL. Good evening to you, Chives and Pats in the chat. Hope you're all having a wonderful week. Last time out, this time last week, Tuesday for the no assist tier 1 race at Silverstone. That guy came home with the win and the 25 points. Boosts him up to 6th in the championship right now. And another strong result. He may jump up into the top 3 or 4 tonight. Ryan outscored his championship rival Ross. Ryan picking up a 2nd place last week, making that his 5th second place of the season. Still without that elusive race win though. Can Ryan achieve that here tonight? Or will Ross add to his 3 race wins this season? And that is why he holds a 26 point lead at the top of the standings. And of course, with it only being a 13 race season this time out, taking us up to the release of the new game, every point now is crucial. And even though Ross only holds a 1 race lead, that might be enough at this stage with only 6 races left. We have Belgium this week, then we have Monza, Japan, Brazil, Jeddah and Abu Dhabi to round out the season. That is our calendar. If you're around last week, you'll know that our Saturday F2 stream and Sunday AT2 stream have been pushed back to the end of the season for Silverstone, just because it coincided with the real-life Miami Grand Prix, which obviously we hope you all enjoyed. Evening, the Caris, how you doing? Hope you're well. So the season will end on Abu Dhabi, but for the F2 drivers and the AT2 drivers, they'll have another week of races after the end. 14 here tonight, but we are expecting DeflatedWee to be running just a little bit late tonight, so that's why we have full quali instead of the short quali setup. And I'm spectating Lando Norris. Oh, there we go. My timing screens did something weird there, but we're back to normal now. Not looking forward to this, says Chives. Well, it's not everyone's track. For instance, I myself on the previous game absolutely loved this track. Very quick, really enjoyed it. On this track, on this game, don't enjoy this track too much. Can't explain why. Evening, Dayman. As ever, any problems with the stream, do let me know in chat. But it's good to be back. No streams on here since last Thursday, so it's nice to be back. Remember, towards the end of the season we'll have a couple of one-off streams. For instance, we'll have the award stream, where we have certain criteria which throughout the season these drivers will meet, and in the award stream you'll have a chance to vote on certain things. some of the awards will be obvious and stat based, so they'll be decided based on results and stats. But we'll tell you more about that in around about a month. I'll try and get that date confirmed as quick as I can. In a minute, Prev will take us on a tour of this beautiful circuit, one that has graced the Formula 1 calendar for so long. Has had a few changes here and there, most notably the bus stop chicane, and many people at the moment calling for more changes to be made after recent tragedies to a couple of racing drivers in Formula 1 and other racing platforms. So you get DRS down this straight towards turn 1, the source. Hit your throttle at the end. You don't want to spin out of turn 1. Down towards Eau Rouge and up Radion. DRS activation just on your right there. Down the very long Kemmel Straight, which is a massive action point in the race, even if you're maybe 8 or 9 tenths adrift going into that straight, you can still really catch up. Through Le Com, 5, 6 and 7. 7, 8 and 9, sorry, turns 7, 8 and 9. Very long right-hander. Left-hander, no name. Sets you up for this beautiful double left called Go Easy to clip the inside curb and spin the car, so be wary of that. Into a very fast flowing chicane. Easy to run wide and get track limits, invalidations, warnings, the lot. Through Stavelot, turn 15, turn 16. Deceptively difficult at times, especially if you have tyre wear or high fuel loads on your car. Long run down towards the bus chicane. You flat out left-handers, Blanchimont, this is very famous. Can fit 2 cars side by side there, but you do have to be very careful. Put your braking point into the bus stop chicane. Pretty self-explanatory. It's a chicane, and pick your throttle application on the end. Get DRS to the line. Prev will go again because that one was invalid. See what Flew manages to do. It is Ripley's home Grand Prix tonight. So obviously we wish all of our drivers the best of luck, but especially Ripley at his home Grand Prix, and we'll see how he's doing. Opting for the medium tyres, of course. In Q1, it's all about getting through to Q2 as Chives goes fastest. And with only 15 drivers in Q1, everyone's going to make it through. Just wait for DeflatedWee to join. So that's why some of them are using medium tyres now. I'll tell you a little bit about the race strategy as Q2 gets underway in just over 12 or 13 minutes time. Evening Badge, hope you're well. Deceptively tricky track. You look at the track map there and you think, well, there's a lot of corners that don't look too difficult. There's a lot of long sweeping ones and a lot of straights on there, and you think, well, it can't be that bad, but because it's such a long track, you're able to lose time a lot more. So there's basically more opportunities to gain time and lose time on each other here. So hooking up that perfect lap is tricky, is difficult, does require a lot of focus, especially with the curbs on this game and on this track. You do need to be careful. And of course, you can go side by side on this track as well. So all of that taken into consideration means that this is not an easy track. It will require a lot of driver skill, and the driver to win tonight, I'm sure, will have to have all of those factors filtered into their evening. Lap times being set, but not too many blistering ones at this moment in time. As we said, everyone just looking to get a valid lap time on the board, and then most likely they'll come back into the pits and retire with maybe 7 or 8 minutes left of the session. Padge adapting to pad, putting the pad in Majestic. That one's invalid from him. Kement's back into pits. A couple of drivers in Discord have already mentioned about the pit entry and pit exit. It's very tight, so you've got to be careful that you don't hit the car on the way in or out, especially on the way out of the pits, because it's a long way round here. Ross opting for the mediums. At the moment, Chives is fastest, only by a tenth. Ryan just behind, Dayman, Brev, Wiggles, Ripley, Flew, Greg, Spuddy's Bear, all setting lap times. And so far, only Kement's in the pits of those who do need to set a lap time. .4 in Sector 1. Of course, that was with the medium tyres, so it will be a little bit slower than those on the soft compound. We'll try and keep an eye on that Sector 1 split throughout the course of quali, just so we can kind of predict where people are going to finish. And a bit of a slide there into P1 for Ross, and very tricky corner. Some people brake into it, some people lift off, some people drop down a gear and don't do anything with the throttle. It's very personalised track, this is. Loads of people do different stuff, especially into turn 1. Some people go down to second, some people go down to third. You will see a lot of different things tonight. And different driver styles, obviously, come into play throughout the course of the whole week on this channel. 4 different streams, of course. Tonight is no assist, so everyone driving tonight has no assist on their car at all, as Ross sets the fastest lap on the mediums tyres. Only a few tenths away from Chives at the moment. We have assist tier 1 on Thursday night. Join us on Saturday night for F2, and assist tier 2 on Sunday night. All starting 7:30 GMT, that is UK time. That guy has retired without setting a lap time. He will still make it through. That is, unless DeflatedWee doesn't join towards the end of this session and get a lap time in there before the end of the session. Quite common to see some drivers invalidating up Eau Rouge and Raidillon. Can also be common to see a couple of spins and crashes there. And especially on that corner, as we've already mentioned. A nice little pirouette there for Padge. Thankfully, it hasn't invalidated this time, so he'll still get a valid lap time on the board. Everyone in the pits now, with the exception of FBU No Padge, Deaton, who has just set a lap, and this man, Kemmets. Oh, and Kemmets is off. Again, not a massive shame in this qualifying session. Everyone's going to make it through. But obviously, won't help for driver confidence. Ross was very lucky. He lost it and could well have lost the wheel, but he didn't. Happened last week as well. In Silverstone, he had a big shunt on the exit of Copse Corner. And somehow didn't retire, so Ross might be the fortunate one on this game. Deaton having a nice little cruise before the chaos starts in Q2 and Q3. 4 minutes left. Usually at this point I'd be saying there's still plenty of time for you to come in and out of the pits. At this point on this track it is a long way round, so it'll probably take you roughly 2 minutes just for an out lap, so you need to leave the pits with really 2 minutes 30 or 3 minutes. So coming into the pits with 4 minutes left is kind of a last resort, even though it's still 4 minutes and that's a long time. But that's just the nature of this track. Of course you can't cut corners to get back to the pits any quicker. And a question for everyone in the chat here tonight. What is your favourite track of all time? Could be an F1 track, could be a standard racing track, it could be a local track from where you're from that we don't even know about. What is your favourite track of all time? And if you want to share why, feel free, go for it. Hyper has joined. And, well, be interesting to see if Hyper can get in a car and out on track with enough time here. Don't think there is enough time for Hyper to come out of the pits, even though he has just joined, so I think that'll be it for Hyper, and for some reason it's put that guy in 16th. That would be a bit of a shame if that guy went out of Q2, of Q1 like that. However, I guess you could say that that guy chose to retire and didn't set a lap time. Hyper has just come out of the pits. but with only 1 minute left, Hyper's not going to get round for a lap. Oh, did you crash? Oh, my apologies. That will explain it then. I think I missed that one. So, Hyper doesn't get around to start a lap, but it doesn't matter too much. Padge completes a lap. And in the most uneventful Q1 ever, here are your standings. Hyper does make it through. That guy crashing out. Little did we know. But there you have it, confirmation. 16th for that guy. But when DeflatedWee joins, he'll be starting in 17th on the grid. And now, things should get a little bit more interesting as Q1 ends, Q2 gets underway. Do you guys know what the weather's doing, by the way, in the race, Dayman? That guy, if you're in the chat. Feel free to let us know. And as Q2 gets underway, strategy takes centre stage. Brev first out of the garage. Dry all around. Thank you, Dayman, for that. And thank you for the follow, Welsh Wizard. Appreciate that, man. I hope you're well. Four streams every week on this channel. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday and Sunday evening, 7:30 PM GMT. That is UK time. 4 different streamers we have. Very fortunate to have a lot of streamers. And as you can tell, this week we are at Belgium for round 8 of 13. We've had 7 races. We've got 6 more to go. We are at the halfway point in the championship. Ross leads the championship. Ryan is in second. The gap at the top is 26 points. Everyone taking the opportunity to go out of the pits as quick as possible. And now is probably appropriate to tell us about the tyre strategies. Remember, in Q2, if you make it through in the top 10, you'll have to start the race on whatever set of tyres you use to get into Q3. So, if you set a time and go through in 6th place on those medium tyres, you have to start the race on that same set of medium tyres. If you opt for the faster, softer tyres that don't last as long in the race, then you'll have to start the race on those soft tyres. But at this track, it shouldn't make too much difference. I believe it is a simple soft to medium or medium to soft strategy. I could be wrong. But unless anyone wants to correct me in chat, that is what we're expecting to see, as one of the 2 Mercedes giving Prev inadvertently a bit of a tow down the Kemmel straight. Lots of people call it the Camel Straight. So then, Prev, often dubbed by myself as one of the best defenders in this league. I would say is very respectful, can be aggressive at times, but mostly parks his car in the right places. Wouldn't say he was a qualifying expert in the sense that he gets lots of pole positions, but in the race, Prev is one to depend on. And we'll see where this lap's put him. It's a 43.8, which is the fastest that we saw in Q1, so that is a pretty good lap. Ryan does a 44.6, but is invalid, so he'll go again, and he won't want to do too many laps on that same set of mediums, so for Ryan, he'll be hoping this one is clean and valid, and Prev getting out of the way, almost putting himself into a barrier. Mr. Wiggles goes fastest by 0.2 of a second, 1 minute 43.6. Since the performance patch, about I'm gonna say about 6 months ago now, maybe even longer than that. Obviously, times are slower, cars behave differently, they're not as quick, you can't push the car to the limit as much, so the times are going to be slower from what we saw last season. Ripley, second, goes faster than Prev by 21 milliseconds. Flew currently sat in P4. Deton, FB Uno, 5th and 6th respectively, both using those medium tyres. Still on board with Ryan, using those medium compound tyres, as we've already said, around the final couple of corners. To the line, it's a 44.3, which is only just a 10th away from Flew, so it's a decent lap there from Ryan. Dayman goes 6th fastest, slots in between Ryan and Deton. Bit of congestion for Greg between turn 11 and 12. Beautiful part of the racetrack this is. You can just see how many trees surrounding the circuit. Ross goes 4th fastest on a 43.9. Piper is ducked into the pits, as has Kemmons. So I'm not going to say they have problems, but maybe their first runs weren't what they were hoping for. Maybe Kemmons is opting for the soft tyres. Greg goes 8th fastest, 46.4, 1/10 ahead of Deton and FB Uno, who are super close at this moment in time. Tidy as Bear, that's invalid in Sector 1, so possibly cutting Eau Rouge and Radion. I have to say, I was talking to Padge earlier on, and I was saying this is one of the best tracks to stream. A lot of action. It's a long track, so anything can happen. Mistakes galore sometimes. And we'll see how Chives tackles this track on the mediums. Remember, he did a 43.8 in Q1. which was fastest overall. Hadge has retired, and that is down Eau Rouge and up Radion. So, speak of the devil, and the devil does strike. Eau Rouge claiming another victim. You saw Chives there after turn 11, just before Pouon. He stayed on the right of the track and almost had his whole car onto the grass. That is a little bit of a thing on this game. You can actually go that wide and it won't affect your car too much. It's just something in the coding. You might see a few drivers doing that tonight, and of course this week. Seems nice and smooth from Chives, but how fast will it be? They're expecting it to be in the 44s. It's a 44.8, so Ryan on that 44.3 has done a very good lap on those medium tyres. No one else is on a flying lap. Chives has disengaged his ERS, so he'll be off into the pits, I imagine. Instead, we'll join Flu 32. Big action zone in this track, coming up towards Le Com. 3 corners in quick succession. Very easy to spin, make a mistake, get an invalidation. Nice and smooth, bit of understeer into turn 11. Taking lots of entry curb on the outsides. Staying in 4th as long as he can. Again, as we said, different people do different things. So far it's a 10th down, still has a massive long straight and gets a nice handy tow from his teammate Chives behind. May just be a slight time gain he was hoping for, and he does go quicker in his time. Can't improve up into the 43s and indeed the top 4, but it is a small gain. Hyper has invalidated this attempt. Mr. Wiggles retiring nice and early from the session, thinks that is good enough. 3 minutes left. So, Hyper, his opportunity to get into Q3 is now. Can he do it? Remember, Pajestic has crashed at Eau Rouge and Radion, so he won't be making it. FB Uno currently is the time to beat on a 46.5. Hyper, Kement's tidiest bet, or will be out on track to set a lap. Dayman, I believe, is just slowing down to let someone through at Le Com. There was a yellow flag for a moment. Nothing to worry about. Oh, and Hyper just invalidating at the exit of Pouon. Track limits catching people out. Tardius Bear is also invalidated. Kement's coming around to start his lap. Here comes FB Uno. Soft tyres on the car now. Ryan is out on a flying lap 2 and he's opted for the soft tyres. So he's perhaps not confident that lap time on the mediums will get him through. FBUno has Ryan ahead of him on track. Not too close to him that FBUno will lose time behind him. And as you can see, it's a 1.1 second gain through the sector 2 split, so this is a good lap here from Uno. Greg has retired, and that is P9 for him. However, if 2 people beat his time, he won't be able to go through into Q3. That's one of them, FBUno setting a 45.1. Ryan went fastest a few moments ago, 43.4. That will guarantee his spot in Q3. And if that's the kind of pace that he can produce in quali, he may have a reasonable shout at pole next session. Spoke too soon. Clements pushes Greg out of qualifying. Hyper has invalidated once again, and he won't have enough time to go around again for another lap. So Padge will be out, Greg will be out, Hyper will be out. What about Tidiest Bear? It's going slowly, and we all know what that means. Tidiest Bear will be starting 15th on the grid. So Deton is the one to watch here. FBUno is the only one who can drop out of qualifying. Oh, and Deton invalidating at the com. And FBUno will be breathing a huge sigh of relief as his spot in Q3 is confirmed. Chives is on a lap, as is Dayman. They don't need to complete them, however. They are through as they are. But sometimes when you're out on track, you just don't know this information, so you have to just go as quick as you can. Chives is invalidated. So Chives does get through on the mediums. FBUno into the pits, where he will be hoping, if he doesn't know already, that he is safe. But Deton and Tidiest Bear both with invalid lap times when it mattered. And as a result, Q2 is their end tonight. So top 10 going through, Clements, Ryan, both with late lap times, very quick lap times in the mid to low 143s. Wiggles, Ripley, Prev and Ross all in the 43s as well, which means we could see a 6-way shootout for pole position in Q3. Flute, not too far away from the 43s, Dayman, Chives getting through on the mediums, and FBUno all making it through to Q3. Dropping out in Q2, Greg 11th, Deton will be in 12th place. Padge will start 13th, Hyper 14th, and Tidiest Bear will be in P15 on the grid. And thank you for the follows, Scotty77. Appreciate that, man. I hope you're well. Hope you're enjoying the stream. If you want to say hi, feel free. This is a nice, safe place. I don't bite, but of course, no pressure. So there you have it, confirmation. Q2 results. Comment stopping the timing screens in the second part of qualifying. Ryan up there, Wiggles and Ripley, Prev and Ross, and Chives. Let's not forget about him. He used the mediums, so I'm sure he'll be in the hunt as well in a few moments' time. As Q3 starts, strategy takes a back seat. Raw pace takes over. Chives first out on track, followed by the Aston Martin of Prev. Then we have Chives' teammate Flew, Ross in the McLaren, he's fourth out of the pits, Ryan, Hemmants all coming out, Mr. Wiggles. We have the two Mercedes of Dayman and Ripley, the only one still in the pits, FB Uno. And of course, on a track like this, here's what I was talking about with Chives, going over that grass there, it actually doesn't make a difference to your car. Believe it or not, that doesn't do anything. Crazy, isn't it? This is when DeflatedWee has joined, as we said. He'll start 17th at the back of the field. Oh, Chives, a bit of a mistake there. This is where track position is really key. You can see in Sector 2, start of Sector 3, got Flew ahead of Ross, they're pretty close. You've got Wiggles, who's ahead of Kemments in Sector 2. There's two Mercedes, a nice split up. FB Uno is out on track and going through the start of Sector 2 now, so he's got plenty of track position to play with. Obviously Chives will have everything in hand. Of course, you don't want to be too close to the car behind you because you might give them a tow down these straights, give them an advantage in a straight line, but you don't want to be too close to the car in front of you because you might lose some downforce in the corners. So you need to make sure that there's enough space between you, the car ahead, you and the car behind to party with in Q3. Touching that inside curb and a slight hesitation there. Chives knows as well as we do. Touching that inside curb is a mistake. Oh, and that one's not too much nicer either. He'll do well to get out of the way here of Prev behind, and he does. Chives did run wide at Puon. Had to lift off, lost a bit of time, didn't invalidate, but it didn't matter in the end. Prev is the one to watch right now, the first one to be setting a lap time. A bit of an unforced error from Chives, who collected his first race win. A couple of weeks ago. Prev sets the benchmark at a 1:43.7. Flew comes across the line and does a 44.0. Ross sets the fastest lap time we've seen tonight, a 43.1. Wiggles does a 43.4, and Kemments does a 44.0, matching Flew's time. Chives, we know, had that spin, so that 2:16 is why. Uno has invalidated. Here comes Ripley. Dayman invalidated his first attempt, that's why his time's not on the board. Ripley does a 43.9 and slots into P5 behind Ryan. So Ross, coming out of nowhere, hasn't set blistering lap times in terms of Q1 and Q2 progress so far. But Q3, he has come correctly. Nice lap time. Holds pole by just over 2/10 to his good friend Mr. Wiggles. Driver's not even into the pits yet, and only 6 minutes left of the session. That is how long this track really is. Prev goes second fastest, improves to a 43.2. Nice lap there from Prev. Again, had it not been for Ross's lap, that would be the fastest lap time we've seen tonight, as Mr. Wiggles makes me eat my own words. 43.1. On a greater scale for Mr. Wiggles. Chives on his second run does a 43.4, slots into 4th place. And all of a sudden, those top 3 are now only separated by less than 1/10. Got Chives and Ripley separated by almost nothing at all. Ripley has improved his time as well from a 43.9 to a 43.4, which means that the top 5 are now only separated by 0.3 of a second. Very close out there. Here comes FB Uno across the line. It won't break any time barriers, but he might go again if he has the fuel. Drivers filtering into the pits. And coming back out of the pits is Flu. 5 minutes left of the session, so he'll get a couple of runs in, will Flu. That is very much the nature of this track in qualifying. You can, in Q3, normally go for 2 runs, 2 laps on your first run, and then 2 laps on your second run. And you can squeeze all of those in, normally. But on this track, you have to sacrifice one of those laps on one of those runs. It's just the way it is. Clement's coming back out onto the track. Ross is back out onto the track as well. Ripley coming into the pits. Chives is into the pits. Ryan is out of the pits. Flu coming round to start the second round of stints in Q3. FB Uno into the pits, and he'll do well to get out for another run as well. Time is ticking, 3 minutes 20 left now. 6 drivers out on track, 5 sorry, out on track right now. Qualifying session is intensifying. 0.3 between the top 5. And at second place, Ross is starting a lap. Dayman back out on track. Ripley's back out too. And here comes Mr. Wiggles, our current pole sitter. Will he maintain pole position here tonight? Or will it be snatched away from him in the final few moments? FB Uno back out on track, and he did say he'll do well to get around for another run. Chives, though, is still in the pits. And if he doesn't come out in the next 5 or so seconds, he won't be able to go out for another run. He is on the move now, out of the pits, but It'll be touch and go as to whether he can make it round. He may just make it round with 1 or 2 seconds to spare, Chives, so we'll have to watch out for that. Flew, small gain for him. He in fact jumps up to 7th. Ross is next on track, and that is a mistake. I wonder if Ross has got damage there. No, I don't think he's got damage. I think he just ruined his lap somewhere and had to back off. So Ross will have one more attempt at pole position. Prev fractionally down on his Q3 personal best in Sector 1. Ripley starting a new lap. Wiggles starting a new lap too. Everyone is on laps right now. Chives and FB Uno just on their way to start a new lap. Chives will be rushing his way through this out lap. Greg has joined back. That is good news for him because he'll be able to take part in the formation lap, as Kemments is the first one to drop into the 1 minute 42s. He takes provisional pole away from Wiggles, and that is a very impressive lap if ever I saw one. Ryan goes 5th fastest on a 43.3. Prev, meanwhile, currently sitting 4th fastest, 1/10 improvement. He jumps up to the front row of the grid, so this is going to be a very important last sector for him. And it's no improvement, and I think he just got round to starting a new lap. As for Mr. Wiggles, he's invalidated, so pole position is not on for Mr. Wiggles. He had one run, and that one run was, unfortunately for him, not quite good enough. Flew was finished in 8th place this session, and will start 8th place on the grid. That is unless FB Uno and Dayman can't beat him. Ross has set the track map purple in Sector 2, indicating he is on a pretty good lap, and he is slightly up on his time in Sector 2. Dayman has finished the session with a valid lap time, manages 9th place. Ripley finishes in 6th on his home Grand Prix. He's ahead of Chives at the moment, which is good going. Ross, it's no improvement for him, and he stays 3rd on the grid. Wiggles, as we know, has invalidated, so has Kemments. Prev has also invalidated, and Ryan is on a slow lap. Chives has retired from the session, and I believe he has crashed. So I think that's all she wrote in terms of qualifying. I think the only person who could improve is FB Uno, but he doesn't. So I think this is as we're going to get it. Chives with the crash. We don't know how fast he was going. Potentially could have been on for a 1 minute 42 there, but we just don't know. And as a result, Chives will start 7th on the grid. Well, that first run from Wiggles was good enough to get in provisional pole, and even though he invalidated, a lot of other drivers did. And in the end, Kemments was the one to step up. Perhaps the only one to step up to the plate. A 1 minute 42.8. Kemments' pole position here tonight. Chives, what happened, mate? We saw you crashed out. How were you doing on your lap? Was it good? Was it improvement? Was it not a good one? But that is it for qualifying tonight. We have 22 very long laps ahead of us in a few minutes' time. But before we get there, confirmation, Kemments, pole position, exactly 3/10 ahead of Mr. Wiggles. Great lap there from Kemments. Wiggles on second row of the grid, front row of the grid alongside Kemments. Ross and Prev on row 2. Row 3 is Ryan and Ripley making it. Chives in 7th, making it 7 different constructors in the top 7. Flew in 8th. Dayman in 9th in the second Mercedes. And the leading Alpine of FB Uno, rounding out the top 10. Should have read Discord properly. Well, that's it's a mistake, and we all make them sometimes. Just so you know, Chives thought there's a slight bug on one of our attendance channels, and for some reason it's missed out Belgium. So as a result, Chives practiced for Monza, which is next week. So it's. I wouldn't say it's all your fault. It is just unfortunate, really. So then, a few minutes break, where the drivers can choose their setups, their strategies, their fuel loads, whatever they want to do in the race. Should be all dry, so expect to see a soft to medium or medium to soft. And that green podium balcony at the top of your screen. Only one driver can win here tonight. Kemmets is in the best spot on the grid. Wiggles has the outside line into turn 1, which can be useful in terms of going side by side. You have that run off at the exit just in case someone tries to force their way down your inside. But of course it will be very congested down towards Eau Rouge and Radion. We may even see 2 drivers going side by side. We may even see them going 3 wide at some point on this opening lap. Boo, no brakes. I know what you mean, but it is really useful when you're driving to have just a couple of minutes where, so for instance, like there's been a couple of races where I've gone to use the loo and I've come back and it's already started and I haven't chosen my fuel load, which means I have more fuel than everyone else. It is what it is. But, we know what you mean, Pats. We know what you mean. Just a reminder, Ross leading the championship by 26 points here tonight by Ryan. Ross will still lead the championship at the end of the night. Even if Ryan does win and get fastest lap, Ross would have to crash out or not finish in the points. Even then, they'd still be level on points, and Ross would technically be ahead on race victories. So Ross will still be leading the championship after the race, whatever happens tonight. But for Ryan, he'll be hoping from, I believe it's 5th on the grid. Yep, Ryan 5th on the grid. He'll be hoping that he can leapfrog Ross at some point like he did last week. Race poised beautifully. No weather issues. Of course, we could get safety cars here tonight. There are 17 of us racing, so anything can happen. Evening, Mr. Wiggles. I hope you're well. And a very impressive qualifying, getting P2. Kemmets just pipped you on the post there, but I'm sure you'll be happy with a P2. You just want to finish those Chives, mate. Story of my life at the moment. I've had more DNFs on this game than I can remember, if I'm honest, and I'll be hoping on the new game that I'll be able to stop that kind of rut. Evening, Flute. I hope you're well, mate. Haven't seen Magic or Lava Winch tonight. They always pop their head in at some point. Let's see how you're getting on, Flu. But there we go, that 5-minute break seems just a couple of minutes. And before you know it, we'll be underway. Formation lap, as ever, is on. So the drivers will have a chance to warm their tyres, brakes, engines, whatever they need to make sure they get the best start. Obviously, it's not a long run down to turn 1, so the start may not be the worst thing in the world if they get a terrible one, but if you get a good start, it might set you up for a bit of a move into turn 1, which, as you can see, is nice and wide, plenty of track there to play with. As they head on their formation lap, there is your driver order. As we know, everyone in the top 10, with the exception of Chives, starting on the soft compound tyres. The softs will give you better grip off the line, but you can go a bit longer into your stint on the mediums. If there's an early safety car, it will benefit those on the softs. If there's a later safety car, it will benefit those on the mediums. Of course, you don't want to pit from the mediums and then have a safety car come out. That would be unfortunate. But last week at Silverstone, on Thursday night, we saw PUR Marth stayed out for 18 laps on the mediums, had the race lead, did have to pit again, but the safety car came out and he took his opportunity to pit and ended up in P5, which, when he qualified outside of the top 10, is a very good finish. So some of these drivers might be hoping for a repeat of that here tonight. Greg and Deaton, free tyre choice outside of the top 10. Opting for the mediums, the pair of them. Padge and Hyper, 13th and 14th on the grid. They're starting on the softs. Tidiest Bear on the mediums, that guy, and DeflatedWee. Split strategies for those two at the back. Softs for that guy, mediums for DeflatedWee, who has the McLaren but didn't choose his car, so his results will be transferred if he is in the wrong car. And I hope you're ready for the race. I love streaming here at Spa. Shame it only happens once a season, and I'm sure we're going to have some really, really good racing. "17 of us strong. Only one can win." This is where the nerves kick in, when you're on the grid waiting for the rest of the grid to form. And just before those 5 lights, come on, and here we are. Kemmets is on pole, Wiggle alongside. And the first of 4 races this week at Spa is underway. And it looks like Kemmets has had a really good start. Plenty of room down into turn 1. They're going 3 wide, it looks like, a few of them. I think Ryan was involved in that. And as a result, he's lost out to Chives, who's had a monster start. He's up to 5th place. So far, so good. No funny business from anyone. That guy's lagged out. He's struggling with internet issues tonight, I think. Second time I think he's lagged out in the last 10 or so minutes. DeflatedWee, good start from him. He's up to 14th place. Patch dropping a few places. Tidiest Bear losing out to DeflatedWee. He's up to 13th now. And Chives, those medium tyres, they just show you how much traction he doesn't have compared to the rest. And there goes Ryan, just squeezing Chives off track, but seems pretty fair between the two. Getting your elbows out, but Ryan is back up into P5 now. Oh, and Hyper's gone. Hyper's gone, yellow flag is out. Field are past the accident, so there may not be a safety car here. But we'll have to wait and see. And Deaton is lagging behind, it looks like. We've if there was contact between the pair of them. Chives looked like he went a bit too wide into the bus stop chicane. We saw from Ryan's background, bit of wheel contact between Ripley and Chives. Of course, no DRS until lap 3, so now it's just down to people's traction, confidence, ERS, and speaking of ERS, we have Flew, and this is a bold move from Flew. Looked like he was going down the inside of Ripley, contact with his teammate. Dayman was trying to force his way up the inside as well. Chives has lost out there, and I'm not sure we can really blame Chives for what happened there. I think it was just a bit of a series of unfortunate events. There's a virtual safety cars out as FB Uno has crashed at Le Com. Deton has pitted, so he'll have some damage after lap 1. I wonder if that will change to a full safety car. It can happen. So already in the opening 2 laps we have 2 casualties. 15 runners left. And no full safety car. Oh, and Padge drive-through for speeding under the VSC. Don't know what that means. When virtual safety car comes out, you have a delta, that is a specific time and speed that you have to adhere to. If you go over that and you speed when the virtual safety car ends, you will get a drive-through penalty, which is the biggest penalty you can get in this game. DeflatedWee just struggling with cornering in the bus stop chicane. Greg looked like he was going to get past, but to no avail. Those top 4 are all separated by just over a second. Ryan is a little bit behind, a couple of seconds now, which means he will get the benefit of the DRS. Oh, and Dayman's off. A spin up Eau Rouge and Radion, and another casualty. And Mr. Wiggles, I think, is also off, or has had a moment. But he has lost second and third to Ross and Prev. Wiggles still on the back of this train though, so not too much lost. But obviously he would be preferring to be in second place right now. Ryan will be hoping that he can somehow reduce that gap to these top 4, otherwise he's just going to get further and further behind. And so all of these, well, as 3 of these top 4 have DRS, and Ryan doesn't. Flu's doing well in P6, but he's been pursued well by Ripley. Chives, we've seen a little bit of how his race is going so far in the opening few laps, as Ross sets a new fastest lap. He's in 8th place, and he's got DeflatedWee behind him, who started in 17th, so it's a good start from DeflatedWee. Greg rounds out the top 10 and has a bit of breathing room on Thaddeus Bear behind, who already has a time penalty. Padges into the pits for his drive-through, which he got for speeding under VSC, and here comes the DRS we like to call train. Ross soaring into the lead. The routine move. Not much that Kemmets could do to prevent that. Oh, and where is Prev gone? Prev's had a moment. Just recovering. He's lost a lot of time and a lot of places. He's down to 7th, and maybe it's that one of those curbs at Le Com. Maybe there was a bit of contact with Wiggles that we don't know about. DeflatedWee is past Chives. We looks good at the moment. A little bit wide there, may have got a warning, may have got away with it due to the lift off on the throttle, but we'll have to wait and see if he gets a penalty tonight. Early stages, so you see it, Ross is in the lead and looking to break away from Kamens, so Kamens doesn't have the DRS. We'll have to wait and see if he gets it towards Camel Straight. Side by side, Ripley and Flew maintaining 5th. Kamens does not have DRS. Ross here could be in a bit of a prime spot to build a bit of a gap on Kamens. Ripley's ahead of Flew now on Camel Straight with the DRS. Ryan is slowly slipping away from this top now 3. Was a top 4, but now a top 3. 2.9 seconds he is behind, but he is up 1 off the start. Ripley's up 1, he's a further 3 seconds behind, and there's Flew behind him for company. Prev in 7th and losing 3 places off his grid slot due to that slight incident a couple of laps ago where either he was an unforced error or some contact with Wiggles that we don't know about. DeflatedWee, he's up 9 and already into the points, and he's a second away from Prev. Chives still hanging on to the back of DeflatedWee after Chives was overtaken. Mr. Wiggles will definitely like what he's seeing right now. He knows Kamens doesn't have DRS on the race leader Ross, which means Mr. Wiggles now is in a prime opportunity to get past. Kamens struggling with the ERS management. The red flashing light at the rear of the car indicates you're below, I think it's 25% ERS. So Kamens has been using a lot of it to stay within touching distance of Ross. There goes Chives past Wee. That guy, nice start from him. He's up 6 and finds himself in 10th. The Greg's had a bit of an issue at turn 7. And he has dropped out of the points. Thaddeus Bear, decent start from him. He's up 4 places off his grid slot. Does have that 3-second time penalty, which may come back to haunt him if there is a later safety car in this race. Prev now has caught up to this battle for 5th. And if Chives gets within DRS range, it will then be a 5-car fight for 5th. Someone's into the pits. It's Ripley. Chives and DeflatedWee super close. Chives won't have the DRS on Prev. Prev will have the DRS on Flew, which means we may see a couple of changes in position here. Also, might have seen Kamens get past Wiggles, but not quite close enough into turn 7. 27 of 22. Chives gets his first time penalty of the night. He's following DeflatedWee in the battle for 7th. Prev, just ahead of DeflatedWee now, is all over the back of Flew, who holds P5 after Ripley has just pitted for new tyres. And talking to Ripley, 3-second time penalty for him. Oh, and a bit of a slide there for Flew. Lost a bit of time through that corner. Looked a little bit sideways. Did Prev, sorry, not Flew. Ross leads Mr. Wiggles by 1.6 seconds. Kemmets is still within striking distance. However, both of them pitting, as you can see on screen now. Ryan is in 4th. Flew is leading this battle for 5th. Ross and Ryan stay out. 2 championship protagonists. But there is a 6.7 gap between them. So Ross definitely has the advantage in terms of this race and the championship at the moment. But those pit stops from Wiggles and Kemmets mean that Ross does have to respond this next lap. Otherwise, he may run the risk of getting overtaken on the undercut opportunity. Here comes Prev now. Flew opting for the inside medium line. Braking as late as he can. Prev leaving the space and getting 3rd place. DeflatedWee holding off Chives once again. Really is a good battle between them two tonight. But Chives going down the inside of turn 10. DeflatedWee just being forced a little bit wide perhaps. And now we got 2 Alfa Romeos in the top 5. Flew and Chives. Oh, and a mistake. Dayman, DeflatedWee, sorry, can't capitalise on that. That guy time penalty, and I'm pretty sure DeflatedWee just got one as well. As Ross pits from the leads. Will Ryan pits? No, he won't. Prev stays out. Flew comes into the pits. Here comes DeflatedWee. Chives braking a little bit earlier because the DRS detection line is just here. So Chives will get the DRS to fight back. Ryan leads Prev by 3.7 seconds now. DeflatedWee is a couple of seconds behind. However, is now going to be Chives in 3rd. Easy move. And a very shrewd move. That guy looking to get past, Mr. Wiggles looking to get past that guy. That guy isn't pit yet, so those tyres are a little bit shredded. And Mr. Wiggles, by pitting 1 lap earlier, now finds himself only a few tenths behind Ross. Kemmets, meanwhile, has lost a little bit of time on his outlap. Prev's lagged out. I wonder if his AI is going to pit him for him this lap. Before the pit stops, we saw Mr. Wiggles was 1 second behind Ross. Now there is nothing to separate them two. Kemmets 1.2 seconds behind that guy and really needs to clear him as soon as he can. Rev has rejoined the race and might be a slight clashing of drives here for Prev as he rejoins the race and comes into the pits. Ryan, our race leader, pits too. Chives and DeflatedWee, of course, can stay out as long as they can because, well, they don't have soft tyres on the car. That guy, though, it's a bit of a surprise he isn't pitting. So Ross is in the net lead of this race, wants the top two pit. Once again, I spoke a little bit too soon. There goes Mr. Wiggles into the net lead of this race. There he sees race leaders in the foreground. Chives and DeflatedWee going once again at it on the racetrack. That guy behind you can just see getting his second time penalty of the night by just running wide at turn 9 there. At 10 of 22, almost at half race distance. Page and Deton pit. New mediums for them. Tidy's Bears pitted onto the hard tyres. I wish our timing screens would come back to normal. That would be useful. Once again we see Flu, Rev, Ryan behind. Then we've got Greg, who is yet to pit. Mr. Wiggles, the fastest lap of the race. And now this is a four-way fight for the lead. Two McLaren-powered cars, but Mercedes-powered cars in the McLarens. Two Ferrari-powered cars in the Alfa Romeo and the Haas. Chives takes the leads. Ross and Wiggles having a nice little fight as well. Mistake from DeflatedWee. Those tyres a little bit too old right now. Ross swinging it around the outside. Has track position here on his teammate. There goes Mr. Wiggles. Those new tyres are going to serve him well. They look to go side by side. DeflatedWee left the space. Fair play to him. As a result, that outside line just favoured Mr. Wiggles more than it did DeflatedWee. And a couple of nice overtakes around the outside there from Ross and Wiggles. Of course, the more that these four fight, the more that Kemet's behind will be looking to join the party. He's reduced that gap now down to 1.6. Ripley's in 6th place and has a nice little bit of breathing space in front of him. A hearty 10 seconds to this top 5. Too much space behind him though. Prev on brand new tyres, only 2 seconds away. Oh, Tidy's Bear is out and he's crashed at turn 11, and I wonder if there will be a safety car. Yes, there will. And for these top 5, that is bad news. They've all just gone past the pit entry. But for Greg, this is good news. He can get those mediums off the car if he wants to, and he can have effectively what is a free pit stop. But I wonder if Chives and DeflatedWee will also take this opportunity to pit. That guy is also pitted. Lap 12 of 22. The safety car has brought everyone together. Greg and that guy moving on to a set of soft tyres. We saw on Thursday night last week at Silverstone. We've already alluded to it today. Those who stayed out on the safety car actually did better at Silverstone by having the track position as opposed to having those brand new set of tyres. So I wonder what the strategy is going to be tonight. Is it going to be, obviously for Chives and DeflatedWee, they have to pit, they will pit. But for those other three, Ross, Wiggles, Kemet's, What will they do? Obviously those mediums will go to the end, no problem. But will they move on to a set of soft tyres? Is the question I'm really looking for. Ross pits, Wiggles pits, DeflatedWee pits, Clements pits. So every one of the top 5 is in. What will Ripley do? If he stays out here, he will get the race lead. And he does stay out, so Ripley is going to be in a nice little spot. But at his home Grand Prix, he is going to be leading this race. And the problem is, though, he has 5 drivers behind him on a set of new soft tyres. Oh, and scrap that. Chives has somehow got out of the pits still in the lead of this race. So Chives here, this safety car is perfect news for him. Downside? Well, he's got a time penalty. That gives the advantage back to Ross. Prevflew, Ryan all stayed out, by the way, so they occupy places 5 to 7. DeflatedWee, Clements, Greg, that guy. Oh, Greg catching up to the back of the field. He's cut a corner and got a penalty. That's not good news for him. Those 4 between 8th and 11th, they're all on soft tyres. Dayman on the mediums. Deton is pitting as we speak. Pajestic on a set of soft tyres too. So far, as Deton pits onto the soft compound tyre, Ripley is the one with the worst tyres right now. The question will be though, can everyone on those soft compound tyres manage them to the end? We saw some pit stops at lap 6 or lap 7 in this race. So the question will be, can they keep those soft tyres as wear-free under this safety car, so that when the race restarts, they're going to have all the grip at their disposal and they don't have to worry about losing grip. But this is a very interesting predicament. Obviously the safety car will bunch the field back up, so those that have time penalties now, all 6 of them, will be biting their tongue slightly. And perhaps in this second stint of the race will be a little bit more aggressive as they need to build 3-second gaps on the cars around them. Safety car comes round to lead drivers on lap 14 of 22. Still awaiting 3 drivers to catch up. Fingers crossed, safety car will be in this lap. Here is the penalty situation. Chives, Ripley, 3 seconds apiece. And let's not forget Ripley is on, I'm going to say, the worst tyres on the grid at the moment. DeflatedWee back in 8th place has a penalty, so does Greg and Dayman. That guy has 2 3-second time penalties, so 6 seconds will be added onto his finishing time, which obviously isn't ideal. And of course the tyre strategy is an interesting one. Ross perhaps could be taking his 4th race win of the season. He's won 3 races of the 7 so far. He's only failed to finish once. That that is why he is leading the championship. Brian is in second in the championship and has 5 second place finishes in 7 races this season. But at the moment, he'll do well to get on the podium from where he is. And as predicted, the safety car will be in this lap. Dayman has ignored a yellow flag for some reason and will have a 5-second penalty added on to his 3. Chive staying pretty close to this safety car. Of course, pit entry is before the last corner, so Chives can go for it pretty much whenever he wants now. The safety car is almost in. He'll probably go for it out of the final couple of corners though. And he does. And those soft tyres have given him already an 8/10 advantage on Ripley. Already finding himself under big pressure from Ross and Wiggles. Question will be, can Prev, Flew and Ryan hold off those behinds? Got 4 drivers behind them on soft compound tyres, and here comes Ross. As Flew gets a time penalty, that's not something you see every day. Ross now up into second place, and that is exactly where he wants to be. He needs to remain within 3 seconds of Chives if he wants to win this race. Mr. Wiggles now with the time penalty, just running wide at turn 7. And looks like for Wiggles, he is being slightly held up by Ripley. Tell Wiggles has got so much more traction on those softs. Cummins now has dropped to the back of the field. Bit of contact. Ripley did well to get out of it there, but it was a nice opportunistic move there from Wiggles. Wiggles will be hoping that Ross doesn't run away with this now. He'll be hoping that Chives and Ross fight as long as they can, so Wiggles can get back within a second of the top 2 and get the DRS when it is activated next lap. Lap 17 it will be active. Dayman has had a moment and he is off in sector 3. Ross takes the lead of the race and now has 7 or 8 drivers behind, that make that 10 drivers who are within a second of each other. Chives not giving up on this. Bit of contact, and Chives does make his way back into the lead of the race. Dayman into the pits where he retires. Ross looking for a move on Chives. Slight bit of contact. Nothing too extreme. Again, more contact. We did say expect drivers to go too wide through some of these corners. Chives still trying to fight down the inside of Puon. Well, I don't think we had the best angle there. But Chives is round and dropping places. Leads this race, and next time around DRS will be activated, giving Wiggles, Ripley and the drivers behind them the opportunity to get the race leads. But Ross, as it stands, in the proverbial driver's seat. Bit of a slide from Wiggles off turn 1, and on the run down to Eau Rouge. It's only 3/10 the gap between him and the lead of the race. He's got the slipstream, he's got the DRS, he's using overtake, and he is rewarded with the lead. Clements into the pits where he retires, 12 runners now. Flew has a bit of a gap in front of him to DeflatedWee, who has also really benefited from that safety car. He now finds himself in 6th place, where he started 17th. Throwing his name into the hat for a potential driver of the day here tonight. Too much rear wing damage at the restart for Damon, that is unfortunate. How was the race for you, Damon? On the whole, apart from the bit of rear wing contact. Wiggles will be pushing hard. He has a 3-second time penalty. Ross, of course, needs to just stay within 3 seconds of that race lead. But Mr. Wiggles will be hoping and praying that he can use those soft tyres to build a bit of a gap to maintain a podium. He'll get overtaken by Ross as it stands. But it's touch and go whether he'll be overtaken by Prev. So Mr. Wiggles here might be hoping for a P2 finish if he can't win the race. Of course, 2nd place isn't too shabby at all. Ripley has Prev behind, who sails past with the rear wing open. I have to say Ripley has done very well, considering he's on 10 lap old medium tyres right now, and will be on 14 or 15 lap old mediums come the end of the race. He's got Ryan behind, who is trying to force his way back up, and probably in damage limitation mode in terms of the championship. Ross leads currently by 26 points. At the moment, Ross is getting the full 25. At the moment, Ryan is only going to get 10. Actually, he'll get 12 due to Ripley's penalty. Oh great, lost it over in lap 2, got a small bit of rear and front wing damage which made me quite slow, but once I pitted I don't feel too bad. Way off the pace unfortunately. That is a shame to hear, but you know, occasionally you just do have those races where it just doesn't go well for you, and you know. But next week we're at Monza, where the curbs do more damage than a slap in the face from Will Smith. So fingers crossed next week they go a bit better for you. Anyways, Ryan now. Bit between his teeth. He's definitely going to get P4 at the end of the race. However, if he wants to try and get Prev, he needs to get past Ripley. Just to go very similar speeds. Ryan with a bit of a dive bomb there. It's a bit cheeky, if I'm honest. Ripley did well to avoid any contact, so kudos to Ripley. Ryan does go up into P4. Oh, DeflatedWee there. Soft tyres on the car. Ripley has had a bit of an unfortunate lap. Lap 19 won't be one in his highlight reel. Losing a couple of places there. But might still maintain 6th over Greg, because Greg has a time penalty as well. Hey Kevin, how you doing, man? Wiggles is doing well. He is doing very well. Chives time penalty, and I think 2nd one of the evening. Race just hasn't quite worked for him. He did well in his first stint. The safety car benefited Chives, but a bit of an incident with Ross. Not quite sure what happened. We didn't get the best angle on stream, but As a result, Chives does find himself in 10th, whereas he was fighting for the lead a few laps ago. Ross and Wiggles, meanwhile, are using DRS to their advantage. Try and build a gap on Prev where Wiggles' penalty becomes irrelevant. Prev 3.6 now behind Wiggles, and under pressure from Ryan. Flew dropping a couple of places down that Kemmel straight. He's down to 10th now. Ruined your own race. What happened, Cammons? Oh, and by the way, Cammons, very impressive performance in qualifying. Very nice pole position. I'm sure you'll be happy with that one. .2 now between Wiggles and Prev. These top two are really a thorn in the side for Prev, who, as it stands, is on the podium. However, Ryan will have something to say about that. Prev and Ryan on the exact same tyres, which means that if there is going to be an overtake, it's probably going to be on the Kemmel straight with DRS. So far, it's very much as we left off. Ross could be on for his 4th race win of this season. Prev, interesting tactics there. I wonder what you two drivers think about that in the chat. Going wide at turn 1 purposely, allowing Ryan past, so that on the way down to Eau Rouge, Prev can get the DRS. However, I've seen this move not work before, and without wishing to sound a bit too harsh, do look a little bit silly, and on this occasion, it hasn't quite worked for Prev, who's now got DeflatedWee behind, and DeflatedWee is on the soft compound tyres. So was that a bad move there from Prev? Bit of a lock-up. Slight lock-up into turn 10. As it stands now, Ryan has the advantage, and if Ryan can put his foot down, might be able in sector 2 and 3 to get away from Prev, so that Prev doesn't get the DRS. I've seen it happen a lot, and I don't know. The sportsman in me just thinks it's a little bit too unsportsmanship, but if it works, I guess. Ripley in 6th, picking up another time penalty. Wiggles leads Ross by less than a second. Their gap to Ryan behind is 4.3, and Ryan will be desperately hoping that he can get over a second ahead of Prev out of turn 1. It's a good enough exit for Prev, and he is going to get the DRS down the Kemmel straight. He won't be close enough to attack Ryan into turn 7, but Ryan is doing a really good job here at making it hard for Prev to get back past, and as it stands, Prev's decision to let Ryan past at turn 1 on lap 21 seems a bit of a bad one. Crashed into a McLaren going into the pits, got front wing damage, spun right after the safety car, so yeah, that's unfortunate. The pit entry and exit on this track are a little bit annoying, so yeah. Unfortunate that we move next week. We are at Monza, where the pit entry and exits are a little bit easier to manage. Oh, and Prev did well to catch the slide. He's lost a bit of time, and that may be his hope for a podium over. Mr. Wiggles will come round to take the checkered flag. In the end, He will be second place. He's got the 3-second time penalty, which means he will stay on the podium ahead of Ryan. But Ross, Mr. Consistent, as ever, never getting a penalty is Ross. And as a result, Ross wins this race. Prime Mr. Wiggles. Here comes Ryan out of the final corner. Oh, and Prev has lost it. Prev desperately unlucky. Ryan on the podium, as we knew. DeflatedWee, what a performance. 17th to 4th tonight. Ripley on his home Grand Prix. Bold call staying out, but P5 pretty good. Prev across the line and has finished, even though he is stationary. 6th place. Greg missing out on 6th by a very small margin, I imagine. A very interesting race, I'm going to say. Lots of side-by-side action, a few bits of contact here and there, but on the whole, nothing too dirty. Greg missing out on Prev by just under a second. Deton in 8th, Blue 9th, Chives 10th on what could have been for Chives. Slight bit of contact with Ross around oh, that voice break. Around lap 17 or 18, drops him back to the end of the points. That guy finishes in 11th. Padge finishes out of the points and still adapting to the pad. Kevin Stayman, the NF in, as you can see in chat as well. Tidy's bet, FPU no hypo retiring early on from the race. So, when it comes to driver of the day, I mean, you can't look past Ross. Fastest driver out on track in terms of lap time. Takes the race win from 3rd on the grid, but I'm going to give it joint with DeflatedWee. I think DeflatedWee with no practice. Coming in late, starting at the back, getting 4th. I mean, your race can't really go better than that, to be fair. So, joint driver of the day here tonight. Ross, DeflatedWee, both deserving of it. Ripley, nice to see you in the chat, mate. I thought that was a pretty successful race for your home Grand Prix, so I hope you're happy with that. 5th place, very nicely indeed. So there you have it. Race 1 of 4 done this week. Thursday night, Assist Tier 1. Saturday night, F2. Sunday night, Assist Tier 2. Why not join us, even if you're not racing, even if you're at work or something? Maybe put your stream on, get in trouble with your boss, and come and join us on this Twitch channel. 7:30 PM GMT, that is UK time, start for all our streams. All that remains for me to say is thank you for the 2 new follows tonight. Appreciate that. I hope you've enjoyed the race. Thank you to everyone who's been in the chat. And of course, all the drivers. And we'll see you on Thursday night for some more Belgium racing.